Mm. Mm. Great. So let's start. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Healthy Mind, Healthy Life. I'm your host Avik, and today's conversation is one that touches the deepest parts of the human experience: grief, healing, transformation. So, if you have ever lost someone whom you love, you know that grief is not just an emotion, it's a journey, a process, and sometimes a teacher. So, my guest today is someone who truly understands this path, Angela Clement. So, welcome to the show, Angela.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Lovely, lovely. So, Angela, like before we start, I'll quickly love to introduce you to all of our listeners. Uh, Dear listeners, Angela is a certified grief coach, a speaker, author, I would say writer, creator uh, of the online series Awaken Your Soul's Journey. So, after losing her husband to colon cancer in 2021, she walked through the fire of grief and emerged with a profound understanding that grief is not just about the loss, but it's all about the transformation. So, she now dedicates her life to helping others navigate their own grief, find the hope, and awaken to their own healing journey. So, Angela, welcome to the show. I'm really, really honored to have you here today.
It is my pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Lovely, lovely, great. So, so as we're talking about grief, so grief as a path to the transformation. So, I mean, Angela, like many people see grief as an overwhelming wave of pain, like something they just have to endure. But here you speak about grief as a pathway to the transformation. So, if you can share, like what that means for you and how you came to that realization.
Yes, well, it is quite a
Mhm.
shock when
Mm,
you lose someone that you love. And in my case, it was my spouse and someone who I'd spent every single day with for 35 years.
oh,
So it was a profound loss. And what I discovered over the past 3 years is
mhm,
that deep of a loss forces you to ask some really big questions
mm,
because the pain is very deep and it's it's relentless in that the
mm.
emotions keep coming up. And
Yeah.
so at some point, I
Mhm,
find, and through all of the research that I've done, the interviews that I've done, I've found that people at some point start to
mm,
really question their purpose on this earth. They question, where did their loved one go? Why are they here? All of
mm.
those big questions. And through
Yeah.
that questioning, we start to find our own truth. And
Mm,
so when we do that, there is a transformation that takes place. And it is because we are learning more about ourselves and what we truly believe. And when we do that, it changes the whole trajectory of our life. And I've seen this over and over in, the 150 some podcast and summit interviews that I've done with experts in grief, how they have gone through this and then transformed their lives through the pain. Really, what they've done is they've transformed themselves, um, transmuted the pain, and made it into something beautiful, made it into a life that's joyful and fulfilling again. And so, my whole purpose is to give people that hope that this is possible.
that's really, really great. Thank you so much for sharing this. And I mean, you talk about awakening through the grief. So, was there a specific moment or experience that shifted your perspective, like from despair to the transformation?
Yes, I had a really huge dark night of the soul, I will call it. It happened at Mother's Day. all the other holidays, Christmas, Easter, I expected to have profound grief. I expected to really be missing my husband. And so I had prepared myself. But when
Okay.
Mother's Day came around, I didn't feel like that
Mm,
would be such a big trigger for me.
mhm,
And it kind of caught me off guard. And it took several weeks for me to recover from that particular grief bomb.
mm,
And in that time, I
mm,
was doing exactly what I was describing, really asking the big questions about, what is this all about? Why am I here?
mm,
Why did he leave? How come he got sick?
mhm,
There's all of these emotions that come up, even the jealousy that comes up through that. Why do other people have their spouses and I don't get to have mine? There's all of these deep feelings, and people can get really stuck in that, you know. And so, what I discovered is that through actually visiting the emotions that were coming up,
yeah.
I was able to find messages and deep truths in each of those
Mhm,
emotions. And I was able to release them. And when
mhm,
I did that, the pain started to disperse, and I had more room for joy. I had more room to do things that I love. Um,
mm,
and so it is a process, and you really have to pay attention to the emotions that are coming up.
yeah.
We often will try to numb those because
Mm,
rightfully so, they don't feel good. So,
yeah.
people will work, they
Mm,
will drink, they will gamble, they will do anything to numb the pain. But the way through this process, and what I found through grief, is that grief is really a process to help you. We all avoid it because we see it as something negative or bad. And really,
mm,
it is a God given sacred process that helps us heal. And so, the big part of that is paying attention to the emotions that come with it and finding the messages behind that and working with that. And it's not easy. I'm not saying that's you know, a simple thing, but with help and support, um, it really can make a huge difference in your whole life.
exactly. So, I mean, most people wouldn't associate grief with the gifts. Yet, in your work, you talk about the unexpected blessings that can emerge from the loss. So, what are some of the surprising ways that grief has shaped you or your clients?
Well, I certainly wouldn't be doing the work that I do now had
Mhm.
I not lost Blaine. Um, and I wouldn't be here talking to you because I was very much an introvert, and I still am. But there's something inside of me that is compelling me to help others. And this service to others is what gives me joy. And so it's that through this whole process that I've been able to come to this place of doing things that I really enjoy, meeting new people. Um, and I believe I got this gift from Blaine. And I believe that he's walking this path with me. He was very social, he loved people. I was by his side and really listening and not really in the conversation as much because of my introverted self. But having him leave, I had to be, I had to force myself to step out. I had to start to really interact with people. Otherwise, I would be alone. And so it has forced me to really build um, a resiliency and a confidence in my own self, and to move forward in that way. And I didn't do it myself. I had a lot of help along the way. I was sent a lot of really good people to help me along my journey. But, retirement doesn't look anything like I anticipated it to.
Mhm.
And so when people ask me, the gifts, well, yes, there certainly was many gifts and are many gifts through this journey. And yet the human part of me probably would have preferred to have my husband here and us doing the retirement that I wanted, right? But there is this peace in
Mhm.
knowing that that wasn't to be, and
Yeah.
to allow that gratitude and love for the 35 years that we were together, and to accept and surrender to the fact that this is my new life, is another chapter, so to speak. And it's beautiful too. It's a beautiful journey. And so there's both, right? There's a lot of gifts, and yet there's the human side of me that maybe would have preferred it the other way, right? So it's like a spiritual purpose, and yet that human side is always there.
Exactly, exactly. That's a very truly said, yeah. And okay, so we'll quickly go to uh like supportive community. Like you created Awaken Your Soul's journey as a community for those who are grieving. So why is community so important in the healing process, according to you?
Grief and your feelings need to be acknowledged.
Mm-hmm.
And you can do that yourself to a point, but there is a real power in seeing someone else in their pain and having someone see you in your pain and recognizing the similarities and the journey that you walk, and realizing that we're all in this together. You're never, ever alone. And so community really makes, uh, it helps to build that confidence and resilience in you, recognizing that you're not alone and that there are others who have walked this journey. And when they show you the path and how they were able to achieve it, it gives you hope, so that hope and inspiration that you would be able to do it as well. And just, being an introvert, I always thought that I could go home, curl up in my bed and just grieve and I would be okay. Um, but I realized really soon after Blaine died that the text messages, the visits, the gifts, the people that were around me, my family, my friends, that held me and helped me get through some of the worst days of my life. And when I realized that and how important that was, I knew that I needed to find a way to offer it to others. And so that community was born out of that desire to build that place, that soft landing for people who are going through something so horrible.
Yeah. And I mean, what advice would you give to someone who feels isolated in their grief and doesn't know where to turn for the support?
Yeah, it's where I was. I think, the first thing I would say is there is help out there. Sometimes it's not in our immediate vision. We can't see where it is, but certainly listening to this podcast, you're going to find a resource on my website that's going to show you a lot of different types of people and resources that can help you through this journey. And you will find that in addition to having that community support or other people, you will also start to learn to rely on yourself for support. And when you are alone, you don't have to be lonely. There's a way to actually to see inside the person and the spiritual being and the powerful being that you are within, and to trust that person and get to know that identity and start to befriend it, really, in a way. I became my own best friend through this. I knew I had my back. We spend a lot of time in our lives criticizing ourselves because we've been told that we aren't good enough. We've been competing. We've been told that we need to work hard to get what we need. And really, everything that we need is within us. And so, other people, community helps us see that in ourselves. And so, there's this importance of knowing yourself and being able to rely on yourself, but also having people around you that can help mirror for you the beauty and the power you have within. And so it's a real balance between the two.
Wow, that's really lovely. Yeah. And about your book, Awakening Through Grief, which offers guidance for those navigating loss. So, if you can share or quick lessons that and or the exercises in the book that listeners can apply today.
Yes, for sure. So in the book, I share many, many different exercises. I share a lot about different practitioners that helped me. And a lot of these things are free online. And one of the really big helps to me was Donna Eden of Eden Energy Medicine. She has a daily routine that you can do that is so simple. It's 5 minutes. And in that routine, there's so much to calm the nervous system, to help you be able to reset your energies again, because we get so off balance by the emotion that's coming up. And this really helped me reset daily in such a simple way. And there's lots of other practitioners that have shared techniques that are simple to do, to help calm the vagus nerve, to help get your nervous system calmed down so that you can actually access the emotions that are coming up. Because sometimes people are in that fight, flight, or freeze mode. And this happens naturally. We don't even know that we're in that space. And none of the emotions are coming up. They're all being pushed down. And we get into this space where we can't even feel anymore, really just numb. And so calming the nervous system and helping ourselves really reset our energies is huge. And so I encourage people, go on YouTube, look up Donna Eden and the daily energy routine. And that's a great place to start right there. And then I encourage people to do what you love. I took up writing. I wasn't a writer, but I found that writing things down really helped me process the emotions that were coming up. And it helped me see my thoughts, what was happening in my mind. And it helped me sort it out a little bit because it's so chaotic when it's happening. And so there's lots of tools that we can use. And I share these on my podcast and on my website. And so I encourage people to check those things out and certainly get the book.
Amazing. That's really, really amazing. And great. So, Angela, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and your heart with us today. Your journey is definitely a testament to the power of resilience, transformation, and love. And for all the listeners, if you are grieving, know that you are not alone. There is a hope, there is a healing, and there is a light ahead. So, dear listeners, if today's episode has resonated with you, please share it with someone who might need to hear these words, or someone you know very close you can share. So, and also remember that grief is not just about your loss. It's all about discovering who you are and learning to carry love forward and embracing the life in a very, very new way. So until next time, take care, be kind to yourself, and always remember that a healthy mind leads to a healthy life. So see you in the next episode.